In this lesson, we're going to see a little bit of exterior assets in ENSCAPE that we can put in our ARCHICAD project to make it a little bit more alive and more populated with things that make it more realistic. So in the previous lesson, we saw that so far ARCHICAD does a great job, and ENSCAPE together they do a great job in helping us defining the materials, which are almost ready, and they are already there. So we can just need to modify them or adjust them just a little bit. And we can see the grass, we can see the glasses, we can see metals and other materials, again, that are predefined. And so I'm going to use this scene that I have in my computer, but you can use your own, or you can use also the templates from the ARCHICAD version that you're using. So what I'm going to do is show you how you can also put multiple assets and how you can customize some of those. Now we have some assets also in the ARCHICAD libraries that we can use, like the street lamps, street lights, and this car right here is from ARCHICAD. But I'm going to use landscape cars because they also have like transparent glass and they look just a little bit more realistic and also less heavy when I can move around in ARCHICAD because they use proxies. So I generally prefer to use ENSCAPE libraries unless I have something that I really like in the other libraries. You can also import from the exterior, as we know, in ARCHICAD. And so I'm going to show you here in the categories. Right now they are in Italian, but you'll find some urban assets that you can use, and also buildings that are also pretty detailed, and they have all materials and glasses, and they don't have interiors, of course, because when you work on an exterior, it's better not to fill the interiors with stuff and things that are pretty heavy. So the lighter you keep it, the better it is. So try to hide using the layers and the management tools in ARCHICAD, everything that is not needed in the render, and just keep everything that is visible and that is going to show up. So you can see you can put some buildings around to make the rendering a little bit more realistic, and to hide also like large areas so that you don't see the tiling of the textures and the repetition. So by placing assets all around, you can kind of hide these, let's call them defects, but this is something that you will always see in renders. Now also here I want to go in my settings here and unpin the window so that the visualization is not always on the top, but I can move other windows on the top. And you'll find that in the little engine icon in the ENSCAPE windows on the top right. And so I'm continuing here to put some of these assets. So click and drag or double click and then click on, well, you don't need a surface for this. You can just place it on a construction plane, which is the base construction plane in ARCHICAD. And there you go. They're going to appear first as proxies in ARCHICAD and then in ENSCAPE, as we already know. Now we have a folder with vegetation, which also is really big, and also vehicles that can help you to, again, work on the exteriors, make them a little bit more interesting, hide the defects, and try not to make it boring and repetitive. Now, we also find these simplified versions of cars and pickups, etc., vehicles in general. And also you can find for people, and also have sometimes you see the ships or other types of vehicles that you can put, motorcycles and other stuff. So you can decide if you want to put like a full resolution with all the textures and more realistic version of a vehicle or people or something else, or you can put like simplified version, which looks like more like a model, small scale architecture model. You can work with both cases. And people, vehicles, vegetation probably are the heavier, the heaviest part of the render. So try to make a good use of those. And also you have in ARCHICAD this like silhouette. So if you see also here, you have some tags at the bottom you can filter, and you have a tag that is called simplified version, or basically um, kind of placeholder, or something that again looks like a paper origami or something like that. So it's a really simplified version. And so we can put some of these in the favorites. We can reuse them later on with the little heart in there. And I know this is in Italian, but I think it's so simple to understand that you can, figure it out. Essentially, you have categories on the top and then tags on the bottom, which are filters that you can put to narrow your search. So we already talked about that, and we will talk again and again. And that's the core, in a way, of ENSCAPE. So the possibility to put a lot of assets in there in a really easy fashion, really fast rendering, and the possibility also a little bit to transform them, so modify them, and also customize them in some cases, as we already saw. But we will make more examples. So I think you will not find problem in doing this. It's so simple. So if I want to modify, you can see I've inserted that. But if I want to rotate it, you can either right click and access the various types of editing. You can also duplicate by, you can copy and rotate, and also like move and copy and rotate and copy. So you have many options here when you right click on the assets on the proxy in ARCHICAD and create multiple copies. The stuff that you usually do in ARCHICAD. So this is not an ARCHICAD video course. It's specific for ENSCAPE. So if you don't know how to use ARCHICAD, you can check the ARCHICAD video course as well. So let's see something else. Then we have like street objects or urban design objects like beans, or again, street lamps, roads, road signs, and a lot of stuff in there. You have like London telephone cabin, and then you have buildings, and hydrants and bus stops, fencing, railings. Again, things that you already do usually in ARCHICAD, but you can add also from your street signs, distribution, billboards, barriers, solar panels, and wind poles, etc., etc. Now, the lining, the street lamps, for example, this one I got it from ARCHICAD, but also here we have a lining section or lights section with the little lamp icon. And here you find like studio lighting, interior lighting, and also exterior, like big street lamps that you can put in your project. And again, we have furniture, and also we have a tag for exterior furniture, exterior furnishing. So if you put that tag, you will only see those assets for exteriors. So like a little backyard or whatever. And also we have sports stuff, which is good also for exteriors, and like surfing boards and balls and etc. Medical equipment, which is not really useful for that. And then you have people, vegetation. At the bottom, basically you have the three, I think, most important ones, and more so heaviest. So people, vegetation, and vehicles. So I've already put one in there. That's also a simplified version. Now, also in ARCHICAD, if you click and then you click again on top of the same object, you will have a little pop-up menu that will let you like move things easily, quickly, or rotate them. So it's another way we can use the tools in ARCHICAD. Now let me get, well, that is a simplified pickup. So I'm going to get also a high detail pickup like this one here, for example. So I'm going to put a little heart in there to put it in the favorites, and also this, and I think it's fine. So let's go into the favorites. I'm going to get this one here. I'm going to drag it and drop it, or double click and put it in ARCHICAD window. So right now I'm only using the asset library window from the ARCHICAD side. Then we're gonna move into the ENSCAPE side. And that's the pickup right there. Again, it's a proxy. So if I close this, I can see it in its full quality in there. And you can see it has like windshields and the tires and the glasses. Everything is way more realistic and detailed if we compare it to ARCHICAD models. So in this case, I would go for the vehicles and the vegetation and the people from ENSCAPE, no doubt. You can see also we see little interiors of the car. So again, pretty realistic. And so I opened the asset library from here and from the menu, but this time I will go into ENSCAPE and open it from here, or the L key if you want to go for the shortcut key. And I'm also going to make the ARCHICAD window a little bit smaller, and I'm going to enlarge the ENSCAPE window more to see a little bit better, because the libraries here, they took some space on the left. So if I select with the select tool this car, this is a customizable assets. So like we saw before with a person, we can also customize certain objects. Like for example here we can, well, we cannot change the material unfortunately, or other effects of the material, but we can work on the main color, which is called the albedo color. So we can like put another and just see the changes right away. So I'm going to put a nice orange, our ENSCAPE orange. And let's move on. So I position here the girl, I just moved it. So what is handy about the asset library in ENSCAPE is that you can check right away if it certain assets is customizable. You will see it here. Otherwise, it will say, okay, this is not customizable. You can also delete the asset from there. So you have a selection tool that can select any asset. The ones that you put using the asset library on ENSCAPE, and the one that you put also in the asset library in ARCHICAD. And you can also resize. And to rotate, you just select the move tool here, and that will be fine for most of the assets. And again, it's really simple. Here we click and drag, or we click and go into the scene, and we have an insertion point. You can also put multiple times the same element. So right now we are in a single placement mode, which is the default mode. But if you continue to click, you will put many copies of one asset. And just wait some time, because if you put more than one, it needs more time to render those out. So just wait. Well, of course, if you put many assets with the same aspect, they will not look good. They will look fake in render. So you can see that from this view, we kind of hide all the tiling problem of the textures. We don't see really too much tiling and repetition for the texture. So that's one example how you can hide when you have large areas and a lot of repetition effects or tiling. That's the first way you can do it is just having a nice point of view. And if you are far away, you just need to fill the empty areas with something so that they hide. So the second one on the left is the multiple placement. So the single placement, you have the one tree icon, and the multiple placement, you have a trees icon on the left side here on the toolbar. So right now I select multiple, means that whatever I select here is going to be placed multiple times into an area there that I will define. So I'm going to go into the vegetation area or panel, and here I will select some of these trees and vegetation stuff. Now trees are really big, so even if you select a lot of them, they will occupy some space. So we never have the overlapping effect, fortunately, thanks to the intelligence of ENSCAPE. So we can put here a lot of those, and we can choose different positioning methods. So we have rectangle, circle, and like buckets fill, and you find them in the bottom left. So everything, again, it's really easy to understand because everything is visually easy to understand. So we don't really need words or anything here. We just select the assets that we like. Then we have a density bar to change the density. And then we have like random casual distribution and more linear and organized, depends on what we need to do. So let's select the rectangle positioning. So it looks like a stripe. In this case, we can start to see the first trees or tree appearing. Again, this is a kind of a narrow space for trees, so not every tree will be able to go in there. And so ENSCAPE figures out how to distribute them into this small portion of area. Now you can make it also bigger if you increase the width of this stripe. So it has only two control points, one on the end and one on the beginning. So you can move them and everything is gonna update. Down here we have density distribution. On the left side we have the width of this rectangle. So we can make it bigger, but be careful because it's gonna go over other surfaces that are not grass. So I'm just gonna make it a little bit smaller and position it a little bit better, and then figure out the correct density. Right now we have like full density, but you can see we don't see many copies because again, trees, they occupy space. So if you put like smaller things like bushes or little like fruit trees, general trees that are smaller trees. And also we have here, you see, simplified version of trees if you want. So if you want to, again, have that effect of a architectural model in small scale and not like a realistic view, you can use those, just like for the vehicles and the people. And then you have other assets that are more simplified. They use textures rather than representing each leaves. And so you have more and less heavy objects. Okay, and you can see that it's populating down there. You can put some cactus and you can put some, aloe and other. If you want, you can also use the search bar on the top to search for something specific that you're looking for. And then you have flowers. And among these, you also find like bases and for interiors, for exteriors. And also like ivy, so plants that will go onto walls and much more. You can see there are so many in there, so you will definitely find what you're looking for. And that's it. So we almost finished. These are the bases. So plants and bases that you can put both on the outside, but also for interiors. And then we also rocks, another type of bushes that are more precise and cut in precise shapes. Well, I think that's enough. Now, last thing we can do is regenerate or generate more and more to change the distribution of these until you find something that you like. Okay, let's say that I like this distribution. So I can also activate a preview of the selected area. So it's going to take a few seconds to calculate, to generate. But then you can see the little icon there on the bottom left. And then you will see an actual preview of how the trees will look like and the vegetation will look like. Once you're happy with it, you click on the black button to confirm and then on the blue button to apply this modification to the scene. And you can see it's taking a long time now because we put a lot of different assets into our distribution area, and they come with their own textures. They're pretty high quality models that also are animated, and so they take time. So I just skip ahead. And again, in ARCHICAD, we just see the praxis, but in ENSCAPE, we have a lot of assets now in there that, they in other situations, like in Blender or V-Ray or 3ds Max, such a amount of vegetation could make your render really slow and block you or get you stuck. Otherwise, you have these other options: ENSCAPE, Twinmotion, and similar, that they can handle a lot of assets really in an effective way an optimized way, like in video games again. So they will not have the best look, but they will be nice to see. Now let's see another one. And so instead of doing casual and random distribution, you can also choose the rectangle, make it a stripe by diminishing the width, and you can put like linear distribution of trees and other vegetation element. Now you can also click on delete all the selection and restart the selection every time. So I only want to put one tree here, and I'm gonna do uniform distribution, or like more linear distribution, more organized, less random. And so you can see here from the side, even if I increase the density, well, in this case, we don't need a higher density because we have few trees. So I'm going to lower down the density value, and that's fine, but you can adjust it. You can see also the various options. So casual, variable, random, and uniform. I'm trying to translate here, but again, it's going to be so easy, so don't worry, just go for it. Click on the black button to confirm the positioning, click on the blue button to apply the modification. And you can see now it's way faster than before because we have only one tree, only one type of tree, few copies, and so that's it, really quick. We just applied that into our scene. Now let's move to the next one. So the first one is rectangular, the second one is circular. So let me delete again all the selection and choose another tree. So every time you click that, and you can see that the text are overlapping a little. So I'm going to expand a little bit more my window, my ENSCAPE window, because the libraries, they take space. So you probably want to enlarge the window a little bit. So I want to put this this type of tree. So I'm going to use the circular insertion type. So it defines a circular area, and then you can increase, decrease the density, creating like a little wood. And then you can choose casual, more organized, or more random. Okay, so this is more uniform. And that's it. So I'm gonna go for variable for this, and then confirm, and then apply, and just wait. And there you go. Quickly developed another interesting part. And you can see that with the trees, we are kind of hiding the tiling of that ground, which is, you know, so visible that is not so good in a good render, even though we can keep it in some cases. Okay, now last positioning is going to be the bucket fill mode. So in this case, I just need to click on a surface when I want to put those assets. And you remember, you can do this not only with trees, but with anything. So you can put something on a roof or on a space, like people in a square or whatever. So I'm just going to go for the trees here, but remember that you can use these tools for anything. So I'm going to click on that surface there in the back. And there you go. We have all those copies now distributed. And again, we work with the density, make it more dense, less dense. We can change and make it more uniform, less uniform, even though when we use this type, is that they're just going to be scattered around that area onto that surface. So it's looks random anyway. So I'm going to apply also this final one, and that's it. So this will be all for this lesson. And again, if you want more quality, you may want to move into render engines like V-Ray or ray tracing advanced render engine, but they will take a lot of time to render like a scene like this. So in ENSCAPE, everything looks so easy, so fast, and you know, anyone can do it with a standard computer. With the other render engines, you will find problems in putting a lot of trees and people and cars, especially if you get them from the web, where you will find like really heavy objects sometimes. Otherwise, you need low poly geometry, but that's not going to look realistic. So again, I think ENSCAPE, it's a perfect combination, perfect balance for people who don't want to spend too much time figuring out how to do a quick render to show to clients or to friends and colleagues and professors and whatever. And it's just going to quickly give the idea of what you have in mind in terms of also landscape design and the environment around your project. Now, you also, if you go here in the tags on the assets library, you can also find a check box that says customizable. There you go. So if you check that on, you can see the customizable assets. And you can see there are like more than 2,000 customizable assets. And then you have other filters like for spring, for summer. So you can change, you can specify one season, etc., etc. So now you can play, and you have all the tools here to set up a beautiful exterior. And this will conclude the lesson. So if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel to stay updated for more. If you want to thank us and support us, you can join the channel and check our other video courses. And see you in the next lesson.